1996 was an amazing Christmas for me. For some people, it was because of the release of the Nintendo 64. But for me, it was a different story. I got my Toys R Us big toy book and I put a big red circle around Super Mario RPG and told my parents, yeah, that's what I want for Christmas. I was so excited that on the night of Christmas Eve, I even dreamed that I was playing it. Did that ever happen to anybody else? No? Really? Just me? Okay. Keep in mind that at the time, I was about 12 years old, and I wasn't too familiar with the Japanese role-playing game genre. All I saw was a new 3D Mario game, and I was just stoked to get into it. Then Christmas morning came. I ripped apart the wrapping like a savage and played it all day. But before its release, Andy from Game Informer's April 1996 issue said, quote, "It's no Final Fantasy III, but it's definitely the next step in the evolution of JRPG." And man, he wasn't kidding. Mario RPG was released in May of 1996 and co-developed by both Nintendo and Square, now known as Square Enix, with the music composed by Yoko Shimomura, composer of other popular games like the Kingdom Hearts series, Parasite Eve, and even Street Fighter II. Also, Mario RPG was the final Mario game released for the Super Nintendo. To summarize, Mario RPG, as it's called, is a Japanese role-playing game with turn-based combat. But it's so much more than that. It takes gameplay from previous Mario games like platforming and minigames and adds them into the mix. In other words, Mario RPG takes the best of both worlds and gives a unique experience. You also get a whole world map to explore, but in the linear fashion. As you progress the story, you'll make your way through the many different areas, and most of them play and look different. One area has you saving some children from a cave-in while escaping in a minecart, while another has you chasing Peach's kidnapper in an uphill race. The game just offers so much fun factor that you're never bored. As far as combat goes, it's fun, but fairly simple. In March of 1996, Nintendo Power's issue said, quote, "Not your father's RPG," and they weren't wrong. The game is very easy to get into, which also greatly brings down the difficulty. The level cap is 30, HP and mana points, or flower points as this game calls it, refill after every boss battle. You also get bonuses during battle in the form of flowers that grant higher attack stats, defense up, and even occasionally refills your HP. Plus, there's no skill tree or anything like that. Each party member learns special attacks when reaching certain levels. So again, the game ain't hard. But the lack of difficulty also makes it accessible, especially if you're new to the JRPG genre. It's also good for parents that want to play a fun and immersive game with their kids. Combat-wise, the battle system, while simple, is very interactive. Everything from regular attacks to special attacks and even blocking use a system called timed hits. Basically, if you hit the A or Y button at the right time with a corresponding action, then the player will either increase damage by doing another hit or take less damage. Another one of the best parts about this game is that it does not take itself seriously. The game is filled with surprisingly funny jokes, like the kid who has to pee and can't take it anymore. Or the Mushroom Royal guard that gets scolded for not stopping the thief and then sarcastically says, "Sorry I didn't catch him, I left my bazooka at home, give me a break." Now let's dive into the story, and by the way, spoilers ahead, just in case. Mario RPG starts off with a princess on her way to Mario's house and picking flowers. From there, Bowser swoops in and kidnaps her like he always does. Mario wastes no time and heads straight to Bowser's castle. In this starting area, we're first introduced into the battle system. You actually end up meeting with Bowser fairly quickly, and then you end up in a boss battle with him, which by the way, plays also the same music when you fight him in Super Mario Bros. 3. Upon defeating Bowser, Mario attempts to save the princess, but a large sword crashes through the Star Road and creates 7 star pieces. The giant sword then takes claim of the castle, launching Mario, Peach, and Bowser and the 7 star pieces into separate directions. Who is this large sword? Who is the smithy gang it claims to be working for? It's up to Mario to find out, rescue the princess, and unlock the mystery behind the star pieces. Pretty simple, right? Well, let's take a look at the party members to find out a bit more. Let's start with Mario. While he is the playable character, he kinda takes a backseat with the story. But he also demonstrates how the game doesn't take itself seriously, because the game also pokes fun at JRPG tropes. For example, Mario is a silent protagonist, and the only way he can communicate is by miming past events. I also do like that he's not only famous for constantly saving the Mushroom Kingdom, but also because he's the best and highest jumper. Jumping is also part of his special attacks along with fireballs. However, throughout the game, Mario will mainly be your DPS by attacking with his fists, hammers, and shells. Then there's the adorable Mallow. This creature was found by a wise old frog, so he thinks he's a tadpole that can't jump yet. He's also a bit of a crybaby, and makes it rain when he weeps. That being said, he's essentially your black mage of the group. He has high magic stats and elemental spells like Thunderbolt and Snowy, while his regular attacks are punches, sticks, and for some odd reason, music symbols. I gotta say though, over the years, I grew sympathetic towards Mallow. His story has some of the most growth. He starts from always crying to overcoming his fears and finding out who he really is. So in other words, he has a little bit of a coming of age story. Okay, next up, we have the famous Geno. You know, that one character that every older person wanted in Smash Bros. Yeah, that guy. While Mario is the playable character, Geno is the main character in the story. When you meet him, he explains that he's a protector of the Star Road that the Smithy gang destroyed when they crashed into Bowser's castle. He came to the Mushroom Kingdom and possessed the doll to find the star pieces and repair the Star Road. He also explains that the Star Road is vital to the planet because it's used to help the population get their wishes granted. With the Star Road broken, no one will ever get their wishes granted ever again. Okay, fine, it's an adolescent story, but let's just go with it. Combat-wise, Geno is a glass cannon. He attacks with projectile fists and gun pellets. He also has some of the highest attack power, and his special attacks are all non-elemental powerhouses. Needless to say, he barely left my party. His personality is kinda like the hero with a bit of an attitude. He's well-rounded and often gives the party advice. He's also a badass at times. When you first meet him, he orders the enemy to stop attacking the town and literally punches him in the face when he refuses. It's too bad Geno hasn't come back in other games. The next party member, believe it or not, is actually Bowser. Since he was booted from his castle, he kept trying to wage war against the Smithy gang, but he kept losing. Eventually you find him crying and orders you to join the Koopa Troop to help him get the castle back. But Mario is actually tricking him. Bowser is the one joining the party. Now here's the best part about Bowser. He's the comedy relief of the group. Just like the Mario movie trailer, Bowser's dialogue carries the party. He tries to be the big bad villain when deep down, he's just a softie. Bowser does have some hilarious moments, like he sometimes gets sad when he sees the party succeeding. There's also a part that after he gets the castle back, he tries to leave the party, but Geno warns him to stay because if they lose the battle, Smithy will be back, so Bowser gets worried about his privacy. Now on the battlefield, Bowser claws at enemies, hurls chumps, and literally throws Mario across the screen. I'm sorry, but this is hilarious. He's basically your tank with high defense, high attack power, but lacks in special attack power. Honestly, while I do love Bowser in this game, I barely used him. Okay, so let's talk about the last party member, because next to Geno, this one is my favorite. About halfway through the game, you find Peach, and yeah, she joins you. Though in this game, her original name is used, which is Princess Toadstool. While always Peach in Japan, she didn't adopt the name North America until the release of Mario 64. We'll just continue to call her Peach for the sake of the video. Now I need you to remember something very specific. At the time, we never got to play as Princess Peach. As a matter of fact, the last time we ever played as her was in Super Mario Bros. 2. And other than that, she always played the damsel in distress role. So to play as her was pretty surreal at the time. Personality-wise, Peach is as innocent as ever, but she can sometimes lose her temper too. But in combat, Peach is your white mage, and in this game, she's an OP one at that. She heals a great amount and removes status effects with the same spell. And when you equip her with certain items, she can take all, and I mean all, the damage. Not even instant death attacks work on her. On the other hand, she has the lowest attack power, but her weapons are still pretty great. She hits by slapping, using an umbrella, a war fan, and her most powerful weapon is a frying pan. I think it's safe to say that once you have Peach, you're never gonna let her go. Now let's go to another important point that I want to bring up. Other than Mallow and Geno, Mario RPG introduces characters that we have never seen before. Even today, these characters have never been around again. Like the Mole People of Moleville, or the Nimbus people of Nimbus Land. Mario RPG introduced us to a whole new set of residents of the Mushroom Kingdom outside of the Toads and the dinosaurs from Super Mario World, which I personally believe was another great way to keep us engaged and never get bored. Now, as I said earlier, Mario RPG introduces new settings into the Mushroom Kingdom. It's lush, vibrant with bright colors, and adds new places while keeping some of the old stuff we remember. You start off in Mario's house, which plays the original theme song. From there, you meet the Chancellor in the Mushroom Kingdom, who gets mad because you haven't equipped your new weapon yet. You meet Mallow, and the town gets invaded by Smithy's gang. Here is where you learn that all of Smithy's gang are based on weapons. For instance, these Shy Guys are on swords that are pogo sticks? And the main boss is a giant pogo stick sword looking thing. I don't know, but I thought it was fun. Once you defeat him, you get your first star. Afterwards, you make your way to Tadpole Pond to meet Mallow's adopted grandfather, the wise frog Fuchsius, who reveals that Mallow isn't a tadpole. He advises you to go to Rose Town where the residents need some help. Here you learn that arrows are flying from the forest and paralyzing the townspeople. At the town's inn, we meet Gaz and his mom who owns the inn. Gaz has various Mario toys and invites Mario to play Save the World with him, but he has another special doll named Gino, who apparently has a feature that didn't pass toy inspection and knocks Mario out cold. While Mario's resting, a star spirit appears and floats over the dolls. I like this scene. You can see the spirit trying to choose which doll looks the strongest, but the choice is made and it possesses the Gino doll and tries to get used to his new body. Mario overhears the mother scolding Gaz and learns that Gino went to the forest maze. This area has one of the best songs in the entire game, and quite a few puzzles to solve before facing the boss. While kinda gimmicky because he locks certain button presses, it's still one of my favorite boss battles because this is where Gino is introduced and you finally get 3 party members. After spamming the Gino beam, Gino explains the star's functions and how he was sent to repair the Star Road. Afterwards, the gang heads back to Rose Town to check on the residents. We say goodbye to Gaz right after he insults Mario, saying he needs all the help he can get. Now just a quick FYI, Mario RPG has a lot of references and cameos starting right here. If you sleep at the Rose Town Inn, Link is here resting up and sings a familiar song when you try to talk to him. And trust me, there are plenty of other references that we're going to point out throughout this video. From here on, there's an optional area, Yoshi's Island, which for some odd reason is misspelled as Yoster's Isle. This place is mostly a racing minigame to save the island from the greedy Boshi. Yes, his name is Boshi. The actual next stop in the story progression is Moleville. The Mole people are suffering from a cave-in that was caused by a falling star piece. From the cave-in, 2 kids and their dad got stuck. So we fight this weird boss named Punchinello, get the star, save the kids, and escape via a Mode 7 minecart minigame, which is actually a lot of fun. From there we meet these Sniffets chasing the beetles saying that a princess fell into Booster's tower, so now you know we gotta go next. Funny enough, as we say goodbye to the people of Moleville, this random mole asks us to ride the minecart again for a fee, and if you say no, he says, "Be that way." Yeah, so long to you too, prick. The next place to tackle is the bizarre Booster Tower. It's here where we see Bowser crying over losing his castle and admiring Booster's tower, and where we finally find the princess. Bowser joins the party and the rescue mission is a go. I have to say, I really love Booster's tower. When you first enter, the music is very mysterious and it makes you wonder, who the heck is this Booster guy? And when you finally meet him, the tone and the music of the tower changes to something more upbeat and bizarre. There's also some more retro references here. When you walk behind this curtain, Mario turns into his 8-bit self from the original Mario Bros. Game. This is just too great, and it's too bad that it only happens once. Another reference happens when you reach the top of the tower. If you look closely, you can see a doll of Samus from Metroid. It's here where we also learn that Booster wants to marry the princess, and yet he has no idea what exactly a wedding is. It's like he just wants to do it for the funsies. Next up, we fight the Knife Guy and Great Guy, and then it's time to chase Booster. The chasing minigame can actually get pretty intense, and the music is just ridiculously fun. The uphill chase leads us to a small town called Marrymore, which, you guessed it, specializes in weddings. And it even has a 5-star hotel. In Marrymore, Booster crashes a wedding taking place, and we have to sneak around the back to find Booster. So we sneak in, step on a cake, piss off the chefs, and interrupt Booster's wedding. During the chaos, Peach loses all of her jewelry and a minigame ensues. If you're fast enough, you get a kiss from Peach, and Bowser and Booster get better acquainted with modern times. The best part about this scene is actually the boss battle. You would think it's Booster, but no, it's the chefs who are angry because all their hard work on the cake was for nothing. You end up fighting them, but they also made a big mistake. The cake that they baked is alive, so you have to fight the cake too. When you win, Booster eats the cake whole, declares the wedding over, and just leave. And that's it. You saved the princess. Now that the rescue mission is over, it's time to take the princess back to the Mushroom Kingdom. And by pantomiming, the group explains to the Chancellor why Bowser joined and how they have to find the star pieces. I love this scene. It's like the entire group is taking part in some sort of pantomime play. Peach is told to stay behind, but lies to the Chancellor and joins us anyway, gliding towards us like Mary Poppins. Now on to the next star piece, which isn't hard to get. We head to Star Hill, a place where falling stars are supposed to grant wishes, but is on hold because of the destruction of the Star Road. This is another area with great music. It presents itself with a sense of calmness and mystery at the same time. And when you talk to the stars, you can hear the wishes. For example, Luigi has a wish to be a great plumber like Mario. Mallow's wish is to not be a crybaby, and you even find his parents' wish praying for Mallow to safely return and find his way home. From here, we get the next star piece and trek off to Seaside Town, where all the residents are acting peculiar and very secretive. Like this guy that just stares at the store sign saying, "They just keep spinning." The town elder informs us that a star piece has fallen into the ocean and that he needs it for a certain purpose. Which means, to the sunken haunted ship we go. The sunken ship is actually like a large puzzle dungeon. You have to solve a few riddles to figure out what the password is for the boss door. The problem with these riddles is that sometimes the answers are pretty vague, but you can try to guess the password without solving anything. As a kid, I literally wrote down all the letters to see if I can guess. That being said, the password ends up being pearls. The squid boss is fairly easy, but you're only halfway through the ship. Progress a bit further, and you find Johnny the pirate who has taken the star for himself. Defeat him, and he'll give you the star. Now, there are two ways to approach this fight. One, and this is the way almost everyone does it. Defeat the other pirates first to fight Johnny one-on-one with Mario. Or, if you use Peach's Sleepy Time spell, you can put all the pirate minions to sleep and then fight Johnny with the entire party. Either way, you get the star piece back and it's back to Seaside Town. Here is where you actually see the motives of the residents. They're actually the boss of the area by the name of Yaridovich? I can never pronounce this guy's name, but sure, we're just gonna use that. Like I stated earlier, all the members of the Smithy gang are supposed to represent a weapon, and I think Yaridovich is supposed to be a spear. I could be wrong. Upon defeating him, the actual elder tells Mario that he's heard of a star in a place called Monstro Town. However, you can go back and do some side quests, and you can even find another cameo in the Mushroom Kingdom. You find Samus resting in the castle guest room saying, "I'm resting up for Mother Brain." But the actual next stop is Land's End, with nothing too important here, so we'll keep going to the next village. Welcome to Monstro Town, which some of Bowser's old minions that lost against Smithy took refuge and even opened the shop. Some of Bowser's softy personality kinda kicks in here. When he talks to his old minions, they apologize for leaving, but Bowser tells them that it's okay and they should live out their happy lives. We love you, Bowser. That being said, the star that we're looking for isn't in Monstro Town, so the next best guess to search is up. But before we leave, Monstro Town has a couple of little secrets. There's a mini super boss named Jinx that's a martial artist, and if you beat him, you get a powerful accessory and changes his dojo to match Mario's jumping technique. Plus there's a door that won't open and is being protected by some powerful force. I'll come back here a little later. With the help of Sergeant Flutter and his Paracoopas, we climb Land's End, make our way through Bean Valley, and discover a new area called Nimbus Land. Obviously, we instantly notice that Nimbus people look like Mallow, but he wasn't just born here, he's actually the prince. Unfortunately, one of the king's former servants, Valentina, got greedy. She locked up the king and lied to the residents saying that she found Mallow and he wants to marry her so she can become the new ruler. How anyone fell for this guy being Mallow is freaking beyond me. Either way, with the help of Garrow, Mario and the gang sneak into the castle as a golden statue. It's here you find out that Mallow's imposter is Valentina's servant named Dodo. who regularly gets verbally abused by Valentina. Dodo gets so mad that he decides to take out his anger on the statues, and Mario has to avoid the strikes again. So you guessed it, another fun minigame. Quick side note, I love the music in the castle. It has this fancy yet fraudulent feel to it, and it even has Valentina's laugh as part of the song. But anyway, we make our way through the castle, defeat Dodo and Valentina, who has a pretty odd character design. She also hits pretty hard, but eventually you take her down and save Mallow's parents. I like how when Mario gets to free them, he knows that Mallow's gonna cry, so he takes out an umbrella to get ready. Upon saving the king and queen, you learn that your next stop is the Barrel Volcano because a star fell in there. Funny enough, the king appears to be a fan of Mario, Peach, and Bowser and keeps asking them for an autograph. The Barrel Volcano is pretty straightforward. You just have to battle through a few enemies and you end up finding this guy named Pinocchio that has a shop here for some odd reason. But it's in his shop that you can see some more cameos, the R-Wing from Star Fox and some vehicles from F-Zero. Okay, now it's time for the best part of the volcano. After you defeat the Zard Dragon, you get the star. Or do you? We're about to see what is one of the most unexpected cameos and references, perhaps in gaming history. A group of 5 enemies that work for Smithy stole the star, and their names are the Axum Rangers. Yes, I know what you're thinking, and you're correct. This is a reference to the 90s Power Rangers show. They even have their own Power Rangers intro and a Megazord behind them. As a 90s kid, this blew my mind. The battle, however, can prove to be a challenge. Mainly it's because you're outnumbered 5-3 and Axum Black attacks twice per turn. Just focus on one ranger at a time and you should be fine. But the second phase is against Blade, their version of a Megazord. It only has one attack, but it hits hard, so it's almost like a race against the clock. But when you finally defeat them, you get your star back. But where's the last star? Before we conduct our search, now is the perfect time to tie up some loose ends. For example, remember that locked door in Monstro Town? To open it, you have to buy fireworks in Moleville and trade the fireworks for a shiny stone with one of the mole children. Take the shiny stone to the door and it unlocks it. Behind the door is actually the game's ultimate super boss, Culex, who says he's from a faraway land called Vanda and is traveling into this dimension to fight for the Dark Mage. But before he leaves, he wants to challenge the strongest knight. Remember when I said that this game was co-created by Square? Well, they saved all their Final Fantasy cameos for this fight. While Culex isn't a Final Fantasy character, he's basically Final Fantasy themed. He battles you with the famous 4 crystals, and even his lack of sprite animations is a lot like the older Final Fantasy games, where the enemies were mostly just floating monster.jpg. But the absolute best part about this cameo has to be the music. The theme that plays throughout this boss battle is actually the boss theme from Final Fantasy IV. As far as the battle itself, it can be kinda difficult at first. If you're between levels 20 and 24, bring Mallow for his elemental spells and Peach for healing. The hard part about this is that like the Axum Rangers, you're outnumbered. So you have to divide and conquer because each crystal has a weakness that only Mario and Mallow can exploit. But if you're almost at level 30, just bring Geno to spam Geno Flash and have Mario regular attack. After defeating Culex, the famous Final Fantasy Victory fanfare song plays. Culex congratulates you, and during the conversation, the Crystal theme song plays and Culex gives you the most powerful accessory in the game, the Quartz Charm, that highly brings up your attack power. Afterwards, it's best to fish out the ultimate weapons and the lazy shell armor. Equip this on Peach with the safety ring which you find in the sunken ship. And now congrats, you have a tank healer. The next step is to talk to Mallow's parents who grant you access to use the Royal Bus, which takes you to the next obvious location to find the final star piece, Bowser's Castle. The castle is jam-packed with puzzles and riddles to continue forward. But thankfully they're not that hard. Eventually, you reach the top, and you fight against the giant sword, who actually isn't Smithy. His name is Exor, and he can be pretty tough. You have to take out his eyes and mouth first. From there, you can attack the top of his hilt. Here's a quick hint and a cameo at the same time. Exor is weak against Geno's special attack, the Geno Whirl. If you time it right and hit the Y button, the Geno Whirl will take out 9,999 damage, which is a reference to Final Fantasy attacks that reach that limit. After the battle, Exor teleports you to the actual final area, Smithy's factory. Keep in mind that throughout the entire game, the story is very lighthearted. That is until you reach Smithy's factory. The tone changes dramatically, letting you know that you stumble onto a world full of despair. As you make your way through the factory, you see new machines and weapons being made to continue Smithy's onslaught towards the Mushroom Kingdom, and it's up to us to stop production. When you reach the innards of the factory, you fight your way up through management. Here Geno comes, and he lets us know that we've finally made it. It's time to battle Smithy. You can tell within the tone that he feels kind of sorrowful, but we're gonna find out right after the battle. And now here we are. It's time to take on the big bad himself, who also wears the last star piece. This scene is fantastic. Everyone is given a chance to threaten Smithy, even innocent Princess Toadstool. With that out of the way, it's time to teach this bargain bin Santa a lesson. The first step is to take out Smelter, because it'll keep helping Smithy producing weapons to attack you. From there, just wail away on Smithy. He'll go down eventually. But of course, this is a JRPG. Did you really think he wouldn't have a final form? Of course he does. This form is a tad tougher because Smithy blacksmiths his head into different forms that have different weaknesses, and some attacks hit very hard. Just persevere and have Peach heal at almost every turn. For me, the best part about this fight was that it was Geno that dealt the final blow with his ultimate, the Geno Flash. Alright, now let's discuss the ending. First of all, we did it. We got all 7 stars. What happens now? Geno, the character we all grew and loved throughout our journey, thanks us for helping him, and says his goodbyes to everyone as the party watches Exor evaporate from existence. With the Star Road repaired, we get to see many areas of the Mushroom Kingdom during the aftermath. Mallow takes up the mantle and becomes the brave new prince of Nimbus Land. Bowser and his minions repair the castle, Johnny the Pirate looks onto the horizon, Yoshi's Island is welcoming new people to visit, Tadpole Pond sings songs of victory, Booster and Valentina are getting married? And Mario and Peach bid farewell to us, the player. But it doesn't end there. The credits play out during a celebratory parade with Luigi leading the way. And many characters, even villains, make an appearance. Once we reach the end, we see Mario and Peach waving goodbye. But we also get to see our good friend again. Geno, as a star spirit, makes a final appearance. It's here where the music feels happy, yet sad at the same time, almost reminding us that even though we made a friend, he still has an important responsibility. Geno soars through the sky, back to his home, but still looking towards the Mushroom Kingdom and bidding farewell to us and friends he will never forget. One last time. Super Mario RPG is special to me. It wasn't just a Christmas gift. It was my first JRPG ever. It was the game that got me into a genre that I had never experienced before. One with a large-scale story, compelling characters, and heartfelt moments. Honestly, this channel probably wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for it. That's why Super Mario RPG is dear to my heart. But also, this video wouldn't exist without you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and please remember that if you like this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more videos like this, and be sure to share this with your loved ones. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, love you all, and have a good one. Take care.